ready to go, and we are live on Facebook, and we are live on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, log on to your YouTube channel, Your Voice, Your Reason, in my Facebook channel, Your Voice, Your Reason, also on my personal page. And I'll tell y'all, I will get to that. But first, let me introduce. My name is Kevin. This is Your Voice, Your Reason. Your Voice, Your Reason is a platform that allows people to come over here and talk about news that's relevant to them and talking about issues that they care about. And today, I got two amazing people. They've been around Arkansas working behind the scenes and front of the scenes for the last decade and plus, without giving their age. But I'm sure most of y'all know them because they have put in a lot of work around the state of Arkansas, and we'll continue to do that. And I'm going to go and allow them to introduce themselves, and then we'll get right into the show. And today we're going to be talking about conversation around Senate Bill 24. And just when we thought Senate Bill 24 Stand Your Ground bill had after it got defeated, maybe about a little week or something ago, here we go. We for the face Senate Bill 24 again. They saying next week, and I'm sure Senator Elliott and Ms. Seals will be able to kind of share a little bit, give us a little bit more insight about that. But we'll talk about some upcoming bills and also that voter ID bill. Man, you got to hear about it. You need to know about this voter ID because those steps are the bill that just got passed is trying to suppress your vote again. And here we go again. And first, I want to let Senator Elliott introduce herself.
Thank you, Kevin, for having me on. I've been looking forward to this because I wanted to be sandwiched right between you and Kamara. So this is really great. More than anything, I just want to thank you, Kevin, for having this forum because it is a good way to get to talk with people. But I am Joyce Elliott, State Senator for District 31, and I am excited to be here and happy to talk with everybody. And I look forward to this. And more than anything, I want to thank everybody out there who's tuning in too, because your voice matters. And when you make it heard, that's a big deal. We'll talk about that later. Yeah. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you. And go ahead, Kamara, introduce yourself.
Okay, good evening. I am Kamara Seals, and I am the policy director at the Arkansas Public Policy Panel. And I wear numerous hats because I'm very active with NAACP as a life member. And so I've been in this work for a long time. I'm a social justice advocate. And, I just believe in fighting for good public policy. And that's why I'm here. That's why we fight. We're fighting for equity and inclusion. We're fighting for justice. We've seen a lot of bad bills filed this legislative session. And so I look forward to talking about the Senate Bill 24 and other bills that are on deck. So thank you, Kevin, for having me, for having us. Thank you for this platform, and I look forward to the conversation.
Wow, thank y'all. Thank y'all both. Kamara was on, was it last week? And I have been, and so I'm so glad, great, she was second timer. And I have been trying to get Senator Elliott on here, and her schedule is very busy, but I bumped into her in the grocery store. Man, thank God for Kroger's.
I have most of my interactions in the grocery store, Kevin.
And so I was glad to get her, and it was so funny, Kamara, why me and you was texting, and she happened to be right there. And I'm like, oh, me and Kamara texting. So I was like, let me ask her right now.
Yeah, I saw that, and I thought, how ironic.
Yeah. So I want to bring on, but let's jump right in it because a lot of my viewers have just they are informed, but not to the level where they need to be informed, and they trying to figure out how to get active, what they need to do. And Kamara talked about it a little bit last week, but now here we are again, faced with this Senate Bill 24, Senator Elliott. Mm-hmm. And for what I'm hearing, that there's something that's called a special order, and they planning on bringing that Stand Your Ground bill back up next week. Can you tell us a little bit about that and give us some ideas of what we need to be doing and everything?
Sure. Many times when a bill has gotten a lot of attention in the committee, there will be something called a special order of business. And that's a signal to everyone that there is a specific time that this bill is going to be discussed. So you don't have to sit around waiting for the time, because a lot of people don't have a lot of time. And so that's what special order means. But now, usually special order is something now that means it's going to be heard in the committee. And this bill can be heard in the committee 2 more times, actually. But what we are hearing, though, is that maybe they're going to skip the committee process and go right to the House floor, because the bill is on the House end, and just withdraw the bill from the committee by a 51 vote process, and just what we call extracting at the legislature. But it just means they're going to take it out. And if they do that and not have another committee hearing, if that is the case, then the public doesn't get to weigh in on this, in terms of testimony and so forth. And that's what could happen. So I'm not sure which one of those things they're going to do, because it's confusing me because of the language, because special order usually means in the committee, but I'm also hearing they might just use the 5th process and just pull it out and vote on the floor without any other testimony, anything from the public. So either one of those things should get your attention. And either one of those things means you need to make sure you are contacting legislators. Either, but if it's done just through the House, that's 100 people, and you'll have more people you've got to contact. And so if we learn which one they're going to do, but then, Kev, I'll be sure to let you know so you can get it out on your. I'll put it out on mine, and so forth, because that's going to matter what you have to do. And we can talk about a little bit later if you want to about what the bill means and how people need to get in contact whenever you want to do that.
No, I was going to ask you that question. What does the bill mean to Arkansans, especially what does it mean to minorities?
Yeah.
And why? And here's another part of it. And why is it so important for them to push this bill? Who's really behind this bill? Or is it just Senator Ballinger?
Yeah. Well, how about if we split this up and I'll talk about who's behind it and all that, because Tamara did such a great job in her testimony, so it won't be just me talking all the time. But in our state, there is just this almost people who are just convinced themselves that we should be able to have guns anywhere, almost in any kind of way, and be able to do what we please almost with our guns. And so Arkansas is, there are 37 states, I believe it is, who has these stand your ground laws. Some of them, though, have even started repealing these laws. Do you ever remember anything good about a stand your ground law? I don't care how many states have them. But Arkansas, where we want to be about guns in every way we want, Arkansas doesn't have one. So we have people who are, I don't know if I'm overstating to say beholden to the National Rifle Association, but really people who really pushed a lot by the National Rifle Association. And Arkansas wants to be one of the most gun-friendly, what we call gun-friendly states there is. But when you go overboard, and this is the problem here, there has not been a single thing that's happened with our present law that would have kept people from defending themselves with our present law. So right now, what the law basically kind of says to you is, well, Kevin, if you and I are, in a kerfuffle of some kind, as we say, and I get angry, and maybe I look at you and you're bigger than I am, and you're getting aggressive, and if I can just retreat and leave, that's what I ought to do. That's what the law says right now, if you can. But the law also says that you have to have an absolute, a safe way. You have to absolutely know it's complete safety for you to get away. Otherwise, you can defend yourself. But what stand your ground will do, of course, is it will say, all I have to do is say, oh, well, I felt threatened by Kevin. Now, if somebody is threatened, even in the military, folks are taught that you do everything you can to de-escalate before you just start shooting people. But we want to have it to where nobody can read my mind. I can't really read your mind, but that's what it means. Right now, you can defend yourself. That's not questionable. Couldn't come up with a single example where the law right now is insufficient. Not one. But we know what's happened, and I'll leave that to Kamara talk some about that, because it's not in the people who look like us. Something. Although the testimony was that, well, this law has helped Black people more than anybody else. That's just not true. But anyway, I'll stop right there. Because Black people shoot somebody
it's interesting. The sponsors of the bill gave some really wrong information. They gave wrong data. And, it's like Senator Elliott said, this law is in 37 states. Some of those states are trying to repeal it right now. And so, we don't see anything good. But, one of the things we talk about a lot, that I talk about with Stand Your Ground, and Senator Elliott has mentioned this, but it removes the duty to retreat if you can safely. It removes that duty. And the thing about it, from all the studies and statistics we've seen, this Stand Your Ground bill has hurt African Americans disproportionately to other populations. The Stand Your Ground, Florida had the very first Stand Your Ground law in 2005. Trayvon Martin was killed with Stand Your Ground, and there were others before him, but I guess this was the one that the media kind of latched onto. That was 2012, okay? And the guy that murdered him did so on Stand Your Ground. That's how he got that. He didn't get convicted because he used Stand Your Ground. And we all know that story. So it's very dangerous, because there are people who just look at us at our very skin color. So that's why we need people to understand the impact of this bill. We could be burying our sons and husbands and nephews because this bill is just so, it just allows for, like Senator Elliott said, you just think, that you're in trouble, or you're, because there's a Black male or someone near you that you're in trouble. And it's like a right to kill, and we're just very concerned about the impact. We don't need it. The sponsors of the bill could not tell us why. We know the NRA is behind this. And we know Arkansas is the only state in the South that does not have Stand Your Ground. And when you look at the picture, the visual picture of all the states around Arkansas, and Arkansas is not colored in, that motivates them, just that visual. And so we're going to keep fighting. And I want to talk about the advocacy of it just a little bit later. But it is dangerous. It is dangerous. And we need to understand that. We need to understand that Stand Your Ground does not help us, and we don't need it. It's unnecessary. We have laws in Arkansas that already allow us to protect our families, our homes. We already have very solid laws. Yeah. And Arkansas is the second gun-friendliest state in the nation, the second. Yeah. And so, we don't need that. We don't need it.
I want to say one more thing, Kevin, about the NRA, because are you ready for me to go ahead?
No, this is about you. No, this is about you.
Okay. All right. So people need to understand the part the NRA really plays in this. The NRA is about making money. And the NRA, and the way the NRA can make money is whip people up to act as if somebody's trying to take away their guns. Nobody's trying to take away anybody's guns. And act as if we are all unsafe, so more people will go and buy a gun. And then in turn will join the NRA. And that's the reason they whip up all this stuff. Now they know better, because the NRA started out as a safety organization. It was just to help kids, in the South in particular, a lot of kids hunt and all that. And as a safety organization, then they were, oh my gosh, we can make lots of money here and also influence politicians. So if they get this all whipped up, because the NRA is basically, I think, bankrupt. They're on really, really hard times. So it is time now to let's keep whipping this up, making people think they're not safe. The more guns we sell, the more people, the more the gun companies are going to make contributions to the NRA. Understand, this is about money as much as anything else. That's not the only thing, because people have been whipped up into believing that somehow folks are dangerous who are not dangerous. But that's not the NRA's problem. They're just going to make some money because they are definitely on hard times, to the point that they were using all this money for personal item things and all this stuff, and just about to run out of money. And they are moving from New York. They're moving from New York to Texas because the Attorney General in New York has taken them to court for misusing money, according to what I've been able to read about. So just know there's more to it than meets the eye.
And I see Steve Hamilton said, why are they in the handgun space? Why they in the handgun space? And and it's funny, you said something that I didn't even know. I didn't know the history behind the NRA, but a lot of us don't know that the NRA is behind keeping all this crazy rhetoric that's going on to force people to buy guns.
That's right. Right.
Someone just shared with me the other day, and I had meant to Google, like we Google everything, that African Americans has been purchasing guns at a higher number than they ever have before. Yes. And I'm just curious, either one you can answer, why you think that?
I think it's the environment and the climate. And let me say this, and I said this on your show the other day. It may have been 2 weeks ago. We got to make sure that our people are licensed to carry. We can't just be buying and not. We need to be licensed. We need to go through the training. We need to be properly trained on safety and all of that. And so while it's fine that we're buying weapons, we want to protect our family too. We want to protect our family, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we are licensed to carry and that we understand the laws and safety. So, but I just think, Kevin, I really think it's just the nature of the country right now. I really do. I believe it's the nature of the country. Like I shared, I'm a gun owner. I have guns and I also have handguns, but I am licensed to carry and I've been trained. I grew up deer hunting. I'm from a small town in South Arkansas, so we had plenty of guns, right? But yeah, I think it's just the nature of where we are in this country. And we're constantly talking about guns. I mean, it's at the forefront of the conversation at the dinner table in the evenings. People are talking about guns, and people who don't have them are going and buying them thinking, okay, well, maybe I do need a weapon, So I just think it's the nature of where we are in our nation.
I saw that there was a question about, why is the NRA in the handgun space? Now, and I totally agree with Camara. I think people are buying guns now because there's a lot of fear out there. Mm-hmm. And especially as we've seen very high profile incidences where African Americans have been killed because of this, and people got away with the stand your ground bills and laws. And so African American people think, well, okay, if that's the way we're going to play the game, let's play the game. But one thing you really need to think about is you don't get the same kind of justice if you're a Black person. You need to really think about that. And that's not to say you shouldn't protect yourself, because I understand it. Because if you get a good situation where you can go to court and then have a defense of stand your ground, but really think about that. And the reason they're in the handgun space goes back to people are buying. What are the most guns that are selling these days? Handguns. I'm going to remind y'all again, it's about money. So as long as if the NRA can pump things up so that Smith & Wesson is selling more guns, guess what Smith & Wesson's going to do for the NRA? They're going to get bigger contributions because they raise money like everybody else. And I don't mean just to pick on them, because I'm not an anti-gun person. I just, there's responsibility, like Camara said. I grew up in the woods, basically, down in South Arkansas. I mean, I knew what a gun was before I quit sucking my bottle, probably. So that's not the point. But the point is just be informed and help us kill these bad bills. So that's where we are now.
And you're right. And if you all, anybody that's watching knows some, I'm not a gun owner, but thank God that I like I shared with Senator Elliott and Camara, I will be one day very soon. Thank God for that. And but if you all in that's listening, you know, I'm actually looking for some African American trainers. Somebody purchase a gun, drop it in the comments so everybody know where they can get the training and stuff. So because that's very important. I would like to just kind of support my brothers and sisters if they are here are doing some of their work. And thank y'all for sharing that. So Camara, give us use that testimony last week. Right. Tell us a little bit more about that testimony, because I heard that you went in there with a prepared speech and somebody put that speech down and said, no, tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, yeah, I did. I had a prepared, and I did, and I normally don't do prepared statements, but I did a prepared statement because I wanted to get certain points across, and I needed to stay within a certain time to respect the time of other, presenters, right, or people giving testimony. So, but when I walked in that room, I knew that wasn't the time for that. So I just spoke from my heart. I ditched it and I spoke. Now let me clarify. That was on House Bill 1231. That was on the bill that was on the bill that would not allow the 1619 project curriculum to be taught in Arkansas public schools and charter schools. And when the bill was written, it was Mark Lowry's bill. And when he wrote the bill, he had also included 2-year colleges, 2- and 4-year colleges and universities. Well, they amended the bill and removed the colleges and universities, but they left in, K through 12 and schools and charter schools. So my whole premise was to make sure that the committee that was voting understood that we were a part of history. Okay, slavery was a part of history. Slavery is ingrained into the DNA of our country, and they know that. But sometimes you got to hear it. You got to hear it again. And so I just didn't feel that they needed to go that far as to say teachers can't teach this in their classroom. And they talked about it was inaccurate, and he even wanted to put some dates and so my point was whether it was 1592, 1619, or 1776, it was slavery, and this country was built upon the backs of free labor called slavery, and that needs to be taught in public schools. It really should be. That is part of our history. It's just who we are. It was a dark time in our nation, but that is how this nation started, through slaves, And so that was my plea. That was my plea, is to allow us, because when you look at it, he meaning Representative Mark Lowry, he was referencing false facts. He didn't want, the title of the bill, which was troubling, was Saving American History Act, Saving American History. So we got to save American history when this is actually part of American history. They not want to acknowledge it, but it's part of American history. So, I even addressed that because when I first read the bill, that was very troubling to me. Just the whole idea that you named it Saving America. Come on now. So yeah, I addressed that. And then the factual piece, you got to think about it. It's we know like Christopher Columbus. Now we know he didn't discover America, right? But we teach it it's taught in public schools, and we have a federal holiday to say this man this man discovered America. That's not factual. That is not factual. And so let's not talk about factual when we celebrating Christopher Columbus for founding this country. So yeah, I was pleased to be able to just share from my heart on that piece, and I'm glad that the bill failed. And I also understand he pulled 1218, which is a companion bill that wouldn't allow those conversations around race, gender, social justice in public schools, because we were coming after him for that one too now.
And this is why y'all can't rest, because now there's another bill that's been introduced tomorrow. This is why you can't rest.
I'm like, stop it already.
I was in that committee meeting. I'm not on that committee, but I went to the committee and just sat the whole time, so But as I was there, when I heard something, my ears perked up, and I thought, that doesn't sound good to me. And sure enough, there is now a bill that requires all of this set up at the local level, interventions for the parents and for the people. I can have some say so about what the curriculum is going to be. So we already have a process right now. But when I taught school all these years, if Kevin's mom was not pleased with the book that I was teaching, she could appeal to the principal or whatever. We had a process where I would say, well, I can choose another book and we can get the same thing done. But what frightens me about it is the thing about it is there's a big deal now, and a lot was said at the end. Parents didn't know about this, but they know now. And one of the persons there said there will be something. I knew exactly what that meant, and here we are, because now the move is going to be, we're going to have a bill out there, and people are going to be all whipped up by people saying this is inaccurate history. But what people need to understand about 1619, the reason that it says 1619 project, it doesn't say 1619 history.
Hey, man.
1619 made up of essays, poetry, and musical selections. And so when you write an essay, now just because I'm an English teacher, I'm going to go here just a little bit, because I know what I'm talking about. I'm not making up stuff. An essay is a matter of opinion. Different kinds of essays. You have expository, which explains something. You have narrative, which tells a story. And then you have descriptive, that does just what it says. And you have what this one is, primarily argumentative or persuasive essays. And those essays are often backed up by history, but are backed up by facts many times. But it's not meant to be something like other than an opinion that is based in fact or based in reason. And that's why it's called project. And that's why it says right there when they introduce it, it's a collection of essays that are written by some people who are historians. But indeed, they did have historians, fact check a lot of it, but they're trying to make it like it's meant to be a history book. It's not meant to be a history book. And the thing of it is that we all know we have been mistaught some history. We all know that. Starting with the 1619 thing that about Columbus, actually, we were just talking about it. Anyway, and Scott Hamilton gave some really good testimony about our history being influenced by the Daughters of the, I think, American VAR, Daughters of American Revolution, I think. That may not be right. I'm trying to think of it. Scott, put a note in here to let
yeah.
But it is greatly influenced by different groups. And as I've always said, the victor gets to write the story.
Yes.
Generally speaking, in the past, it's been a man. That's why it's called his story, not her story. Because it didn't even matter. So there you go.
I think Scott put on it, United Daughters of the Confederacy.
That's what I was trying to remember. The United Daughters of the Confederacy. Yeah. And so it's influenced by that Confederate perspective. That's why we talk about the war of aggression rather than call it a civil war. Like it was just an aggression. I mean, little things like that. That's just some of it.
So, Cynthia Elliott, I would guess I got asked a question before Representative Lowry. Did Representative Lowry reach out to anybody in the Black Caucus and say, hey, I got this bill, it may impact African American, I want y'all to look of it? Or did he just go ahead and just try to push it right on through?
He just pushed it right on through. I mean, he just pushed it out there, but the Black Caucus invited him to come talk to us about that bill. That's how he got in front of the Black Caucus. He did not come to us in the beginning. And it's just like we had this crazy resolution in the Senate lately, it was about Black history and people just doing stuff. And I think Senator Chesterfield had already sponsored a Black History resolution, to commemorate and celebrate Black History Month. And then they just come up with this 11-page thing. I don't want to get into all that. What I'm saying is, stuff just shows up. So, and many times, this 11-page thing was given to me before it was out there. And the person asked me the next day what I think about it. I said, I don't understand why you're doing this, because this is not set up to do anything positive. But, and that you need to know that just from the standpoint of, we don't always know when something is coming. When it's put out there is when we know it. And that's why when you can get involved and get help, you need to do so right away. And we'll cover some ways to do that before we're off here tonight, I'm sure. But yeah, it's tough.
And I was gonna say, with everybody, for everybody that's listening on here, I mean, what would you all tell? Because when we go to the Capitol, we protest and all the things that we're doing, Camara. How can we get some more faces? I guess that's what I'm saying. We need more faces. Our plea is we need more faces involved.
Right. Well, one of the things we are careful about right now is we are in COVID. We are in a global pandemic. So we're not actually asking people to go. There are people who are volunteering to go. But there's so much you can do at home. Because when you talk about advocacy, you can email your representatives, your lawmakers, you can email them, you can text them, you can call them. There's a system set up within the House and the Senate for in-session messages. And you can call that number, and I can provide it in a minute here, I got it. But, and people can leave messages for their senators or even people on committees, So advocacy happens in more ways than just being present. So I'm going to push that right now because we are in a pandemic. I have been going. I think I'm the only staff from where I work that has been going, but we're not asking staff to do that just because of the pandemic. But there are, like I said, there are ways you can help. And before it's over, I want to give those numbers because, we need people. Now, Senator Elliott made a comment that I didn't know about. You said they could actually now with this special order, we're thinking it's going to be heard in committee on Tuesday. But you're saying it can go right to the House floor on Tuesday.
It's a special order. It's supposed to be in committee.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's supposed to be committed, but I keep hearing there's a possibility of just trying to just take it right out of committee. But I don't think they're going to do this because I don't think they have the votes to do that. Because you have to have 51 votes from the House to do that. I don't think they have those.
No, that was the attempt before, and they didn't do it because they didn't say they didn't have the votes, but I assume I assume they didn't because they didn't do it. So, but yeah, we've got we need people calling everybody needs to reach out to their legislators. And I don't know if this is heard statewide, but everybody needs to reach out to your House, your state rep, and ask them to please vote no on this, stand your ground. And so I don't know, like I said, if it's like Senator Elliott said, if it's going on the House floor, that means all 100 representatives will be getting an opportunity to vote.
Yeah.
Okay, Representative Hodges put it in the chat. If you all would look, that is the number to call. Okay.
That's the House side. Let me give this the Senate number.
Yeah, that's the House side.
Yeah, the Senate number ends with 2902. It's the same thing, 501-682, but it ends with 2902 on the Senate side. And for everybody, who's so sophisticated that you think those numbers, that calling does not work, it works because people need to hear from you. And when we come to our desk and we have a stack of pink slips, you can't miss them. And any bright color looks bigger than it is. And so when you call that number, you get really nice people who will take your name. They'll ask you who your legislator is. But something I ask you to do, because so many times this ways the people that you're calling, I would say particularly a lot of folks who live in the central Little Rock area, that's different as you get out. But don't just call the people like me that you know I'm already there. You need to look at that committee, and call everybody on there. And many times people won't call their legislator because they're in a different party from you. I don't care if they're in a different party from you. The reason that sometimes people don't assume they can do whatever they want to do is because you're spending time with folks that you know just agree with you. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because every Democrat represents some Democrats and Republicans and people who are neither. The same thing works with Republicans. Every Republican represents some Democrats and some folks who are neither. Do not give people a pass. That's a mistake we have constantly made. Well, he's not going to pay attention to me anyway. No, because you don't even require him to. Require people to pay some attention to you. So when you email, call, or whatever, you just tell them which senator, which representative you want to leave the message for. It does not have to be your House member. And the same when you email everybody on that committee. And so that's only 20 people. So email everybody on that committee because that's where the action is right now.
Right. And that's a good point. That's what I was going to say. Hit everybody on the committee. So for all of you that are listening to this show, that will listen to it later, right now the focus is House Judiciary. That is the focus. House Judiciary for Stand Your Ground. It's 20 people, I believe, on that committee. Isn't it like 20? So hit them, email all of them. Just send them an email and leave a message. You know, I've sent some that weren't, you know, and a lot of times I don't really need to hit up my representatives and senators because they're already voting. You know, I mean, but I will hit up others. And when they ask me, when they call, they'll ask you, I said, well, I'm a constituent of Arkansas. So I just tell them I'm a constituent of Arkansas and I have concerns about this bill in the big picture, you know, because I've had to do that for some who were not my lawmakers, but I'm a constituent of Arkansas. So that's one way if you need to do that. When you call somebody, like if you want to call, you know, Mark Lowry and leave a message and you know he's not your representative, but you just tell him, you know, I'm concerned about this bill. You know, of course, he's the sponsor, but, you know, I don't like it. It's not good for Arkansas or whatever. And I'm a constituent of Arkansas. That's what I do. So that's a real good point. So, but we got to do it because, you know, they pay attention. They pay attention. And another thing I'm going to tell you all, too, that it's up to us to educate our lawmakers on certain issues that they don't know about, because you got to remember, lawmakers come from different backgrounds, different careers, you know, doctors, teachers, lawyers. And so when you have small business owners, so when there's a topic and you're trying to move something forward, you may be the best expert on that as compared to them being. So when you're trying to advocate for something, you know, they depend on us a lot of times to share our knowledge, where something I may be working on for 15 years and this is new to them. They depend on us. So if you've got something that you're trying to get out there, you're working in the process. Hey, you educate them. Don't think they don't, you know, it doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, or whatever. You got to educate them on what your issues are.
And Kevin, I want to say something about how you approach people so they will hear your message. One of my favorite ones is this is not a good opener. How stupid are you? That is not a good opener. And no matter how angry you are, and even if you think I'm the stupidest person you've ever met in your life, keep in mind that that's going to cause somebody to, you know, I've heard enough things said about me that I just kind of like, okay, what are they saying? I just go and try to read it anyway. But keep in mind, most people are not going to do that because it's the same thing if somebody started talking to you like that. So try to make sure you're actually heard and just think in terms of because usually this is the case. People tend to do things they think are right. You'd be amazed at how many times people think they're doing the right thing. Why? And you're thinking, God, how stupid can you be? But what's happened is nobody has done exactly what Camara just finished saying. You haven't educated them on it because they don't know. So they do think it's right. And the more you don't say anything about it, the more people are going to be sure they're right. But in order to say something about it, do it the way, in a way you'd like somebody to talk to you. That's really important. And when you write an email, don't make it a long, long email, because a lot of people think we have staff and stuff, but we don't. We are on our own out there. So if I'm getting a lot of email, which I do every day, when letters get to be, 5 and 6 paragraphs, that's too much. Make it as short as you can to get your point across. And it's not that people don't want to read it, but there are just so many hours in a day. And generally, we have as many as 2,000 bills that are introduced. I mean, and it's just impossible to keep up with everything. And so I'd like to hear from people, because sometimes I can't tell you I'm on top of everything, because that's just impossible. And sometimes I won't know about something until somebody says something about it. Until on down the road, I'd know. But you have a lot of people out there have a special interest. Let's just say it's about guns. So you're paying attention to everything about guns. I can't just put everything about guns. And so if there's an issue, like, retirement, a lot of retirement people, they are on top of what's happening to them. So your voice really matters, because it helps us too.
Yeah, and that's the point I was making too. But you get, like I said, like Representative Hodges say, don't come wrong, because it won't be heard. I like that. Don't come wrong. I'm gonna tell you, Representative Hodges, and I'll share with you all, my senator, my state senator is Trent Gardner. Now, I don't agree with a lot of his policies. I do not, but you know what? He and I can sit down and have a conversation, but I had to work at that, because I wanted to come wrong, but I knew I couldn't do that. And he and I will text back and forth, we've sat down and had a conversation just last week, and so it's challenging at times, because I don't agree with a lot of the bills that he is sponsoring, but I do respect him as a legislator. He is my legislator, and so, but I've had to work at it, and I've had to be intentional to actually reach out to him. I've had to be intentional. And that's what I did. And I told him, I said, no, we're not going to agree. I said, but we can find common ground. And there is some common ground, because he's big with military and making sure veterans are taken care of. And so am I, and some other things. So you got to go to them right, and be respectful. So that is a very, very, very good point. So, yeah. So that was it for that.
And I want to say, anybody that's on here, can y'all hear me, Shane? Share. But I'm hoping that you all are listening to Senator Elliott and Ms. Seals, that's sharing this information, trying to get you all involved, because this is very, very important. And what I mean when I was talking about new faces, Camara was right. Not today, not coming to the state capitol, but there are other ways that you all can do this advocacy work. Because we need as many people as we can. And I was just talking to Senator Elliott before we got on live about getting registered voters. If you know someone that's not a registered voter, please take it on your own and make sure that person is a registered voter, because the election is coming up. Not only just this senators and federal elections, our local elections, and those are very important too, with judges and prosecutor attorneys. So I just advise everybody just go get a pack of voter registration forms, and everybody that at least ask that person from here all until voter registration time is over with to are they a registered voter? And I just want to throw that in. Senator Elliott, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, Kevin, because the other thing that's going to happen when you said everybody's going to be up in 2022, and that really is true, everybody from the local level all the way up through, the governor, so to speak. And this gets to something that's important. We can't do much about it now. I don't think we'll go back and do anything. We might, But that's why you should always, always participate in the census, because the census determines how many if you have one senator, two senators, that is really important. That's how it's determined. And when you don't participate in the census, and a lot of other people who have very different thoughts about things from what you do, those are the people, who end up getting represented so many times. So we are in the process now of thinking about taking the census. It's been delayed for a bit, so it's not going to be finished probably now until October with the redraw in the districts. So we don't know right now. Camara might be in Senator Gardner's district right now, but we're going to redraw those lines. There's no telling. You can't look at my district and say, well, I live in Senator Elliott's district. You might not going forward because the lines are going to be redrawn.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we need to be registering people everywhere, not just within lines.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be very, very important. So, because if you get people registered everywhere, the lines won't matter as much as we've got people going to the polls. Because we've got people to change things in this state. The people are here. They just aren't voting. And what we want to do is help them get signed up so their voice can be heard and form a relationship with them. Don't just leave them after you get them signed up. You have to form a relationship with people. But if you make sure, because we're going to be looking at, there are a lot of people right now looking at a process across this state of getting everybody registered and creating something that I think will be really, really good for us to do. And I'm working hard at that right now. With this, more to come later. More to come.
And I just want to say, I don't just talk this. I have registration.
Oh,
I keep them with me because I really believe in making sure that everybody has a form, and I have plenty in my car. So I'm with it. Thank you, Vicki Hatter. She said voter education with voter participation is extremely important all the way. Thank you all for just your comments. And we just appreciate you. But Ms. Seals, you was about to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to just lift up another bill. I don't know how much time we have left, but I do want to mention this so people can put it on their radar. It's House Bill 1112. I don't have it in front of me, but we call it a voter suppression bill. It's one that was filed by Representative Lowry, and I think it was filed by him, but it's the one that deals with the provisional ballots. So they're making it what it is. They're making it harder to rectify a provisional ballot. Okay, and so everybody needs to look at that. Like I said, I don't have that bill in front of me right now, but it is a voter suppression bill because that you have to. Sorry, y'all. You have to go before. Instead of signing the affidavit like you normally do, you have to now go back to the election commission or somewhere, county clerk's office, the Monday at noon following the election. So it just puts an extra step. It's just an extra barrier. Let me put it that way. It's an extra barrier that's really not needed. We have data from the ACLU that shows there's no voter fraud in Arkansas. So they are coming up with these bills addressing a problem that doesn't exist. So anyway, you all check that out. It's House Bill 1112.
Yes,
yeah. So anyway, that's definitely should be on your radar.
Yeah.
Did you, Senator Elliott, did you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Well,
we still got 10 minutes.
Yeah, I say, wrapped up in all this is voter ID, because that is, because if you don't have the voter ID, that's one of the reasons you sign the affidavit saying I am who I am. So basically, but Camara is right. What we've done is it's just really shortened the time that you get a chance to go there and say and prove who you are, so your ballot will count. But what I want you to be aware of is I won't be surprised. There will probably be some more voter suppression type bills that are coming up. Because across this country, there have been more than, I think I'm right, and I try to keep up with a guy named Ari Berman. He wrote the book, Give Them the Vote. I think it's more than 300 or so voter suppression type bills across this country, especially since what happened in Georgia, and especially since our past president made such a big deal about there was voter fraud, but there just isn't. There just isn't, and we keep. So I want us to be in a position that no matter how hard somebody makes it, we can do hard things. No matter how hard somebody makes it, we have ourselves in a position to vote anyway, because we can do that. Don't let somebody throw up a barrier and we go, oh, okay. We cannot afford to do that, because that's what people are counting on our doing, and we don't need to give in to that. So when you see something out there, and about voter suppression, and it's going to be, because the way to keep you without power as a group is to make sure you don't vote.
And they have been pretty good at doing those things, keeping us disengaged and not focused on this. It's amazing, because I think early on I heard about that bill was coming, but I've been so distracted. It's my fault too, with Senate Bill 24, House Bill 1231 and 1218, and just so been focusing on those bills that they slipped this one right on by. And I hate that, because I think I could have did a better job just notifying the people. And my bad. It won't happen again.
Yeah.
It won't happen again.
Well, thank you. What you do, Kevin.
Exactly. And I want to say this too. There will probably be over 2,000 bills filed in this session. And that looks like pretty much the typical, so that's a lot of bills. We're not going to hit, there will be some things that get by us, but we are trying our best to, on anything that disproportionately impacts the Black and Brown community. We're trying to keep an eye on it. And we've got some more that we can talk about later in criminal justice and civil rights that's also going to be harmful for us. And we can talk, that's another show. That's another show.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. Cynthia, did you have something to say? I'm trying to learn how to unmute and mute. I'm sorry. I'm muting the wrong one.
I said no, I'm finished talking. I've got to go have dinner now.
Okay. And yeah, and because it's right coming at right at 8:00, and this is what I used to do at the end of the show. I always want to y'all giving your final words or something that you want to share, and Cynthia, since you want to go ahead and eat that good food, I want to lend the floor to you real quick, and the floor is yours.
Okay. I want to remind everybody that the legislature is important, but how we participate is important from the local level up. And that's true, like for your quorum courts, like the county quorum courts, so people you call JPs, that's important. Same thing, if you have a city board of directors, school board, it's just important all the way up. And I want to encourage you to start paying attention to everything, not just the legislature, but right now I truly want you to, but I just want you to think about that. And we're on a new frontier. And the new frontier, of course, is maintaining and improving our right to the ballot. Because in Congress, in Washington, D.C., they've been trying to re-up the Voting Rights Act that's called the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Have not been able to get it passed because of the Senate just voting it down. There will be measures for, I would guess, from now for the next 10 years, because we are getting to be a country that is more diverse. It is not unusual when a country that is diverse, all different kind of people, start looking like they're going to have some power. That's when you tend to start getting voter support. Because as long as people can control everything through the power of the laws, that's a huge advantage. I just want y'all to keep that on your mind and know that you may be tired, but I'm just telling you, tired is not a reason not for us to keep going. And I respect that we have a lot of things to do, but tired can't be a reason all the time. And we need to help people who have children, help, being able to get out and vote, and because a lot of people are single parents and they need our help. We need to start thinking about that too, so everybody can participate. My sermon for the evening, and so thank you all for listening to me.
Thank you, Senator Elliott, for that. And Camara Seals, you give us your part.
Okay, thank you so much, Kevin, again for having us on the show, and thank you to your listeners, I guess it's called listeners, those that are tuned in. Man, I just echo what Senator Elliott said. It is, this voter registration, the power of the ballot is so very important. We've got, we didn't perform well in Arkansas in this last election. The numbers I saw were very dismal as far as turnout, and so that is troubling. So we definitely want to, we definitely need a statewide plan to tighten up on voter registration. But about the session, like I said, it can be overwhelming. We have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do. You can sign up for legislative alerts. I'm going to give you that information. You can, and this is from the Citizens First Congress, which is a sister organization of the Arkansas Public Policy Panel. You can text the word ARLEG to 33339. So text that. Somebody might want to put it in the box. Text the word ARLEG to 33339, and you will get on our, there it is. Yeah, thank you. You can get on our legislative alert to just be kept up on hot topic bills or whatever call to action, because it is a lot. We do have a team that's working on it, and we're excited to keep you informed, and we're looking forward to people just advocating for bills that make for good public policy. Thank you, Kevin.
I want to thank both of you all for coming on. This won't be your last time. Cynthia, I'll be looking out for Camara. This is your second time, so I'm so grateful. And I know our audience has been blessed. These are our people, because this your friends and my friends, and it's everybody else's friends. And thank you, Senator Hodges. Thank you, Scott Hamilton. Thank you, Tracy Shine. Thank you, Mickey Hobson. Thank you, Little Rock School Board President Vicki Hatter, and everybody that has been on here. We appreciate you all coming in here, and hope that you share this video, and we hope that you was informed. So thank you all for coming on, and until next time, no talking points needed. Peace out.